Welcome to Reread, where I'm rereading through the expanded universe in chronological order. Folks, it's time to read another novel by James Luceno, Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader. It says the must-read sequel to Episode 3. Yeah, if I read the must-read prequel, which I believe it is a must-read prequel, I got to read the must-read sequel, right? This book is good. It's not great. It's not one of his best. It's definitely not his worst. Where James Luceno hits a lot of home runs in all of his novels, this one's like a pretty solid double in a way. But I think I know why too. Now, at the beginning of it though, James Luceno talks about how very few people realize that Palpatine is a Sith and that he and Dooku were in cahoots the whole time and the war was all one big farce to go against the Jedi. Yeah, well, every clone in Karen Travis's book knew that, so I guess it wasn't that big of a secret. Anyway, Palpatine, the whole thing that's in the Dark Times comic book, word for word, and I totally missed that whole scene when I read Dark Times. I just didn't remember it, or I just didn't make the connection. So whoever put these two together, good job. Whoever James Luceno teamed up with at Dark Horse to get this going was great, because this Dark Times ends Vader's storyline where this book picks up. Because basically what happened during Order 66, and they show this in the book, some Jedi just are so confused on, wait, we have to kill the Jedi now, that they don't. They pause because they want to hear why. Why do they have to kill the Jedi? Well, the Emperor Palpatine says it's a contagion for some clones to question their orders, and Darth Vader just needs to go there and set them straight. And Darth Vader goes, and if I should find a Jedi? He went, you can kill the Jedi if you find him, but that's not important. We need total strict obedience from our clones. And so, of course, Vader wants to go there to kill the Jedi. Now, this Jedi's name is Shrine, and there's a few other Jedi there with him, but they're all nameless, and Shrine's the one that you really want to focus on. But even Shrine is just not that good of a character. He's not bad, but you just, overall, you don't care. James Luceno tries to do several arcs with him to make you care about him. He's a Jedi who, for the first time since his birth, runs into his mother as he's fleeing, from the Jedi Purge. And you're thinking, what were the odds about that? Well, his mother is strong in the Force too, and even though she wasn't a Jedi, she had a premonition of she needs to be right here at this time, right now, to see her son. So they kind of play that card up, and that her father gave him away, and that's what had her father and her, that's why she split from him, because she wanted to keep him, but he gave her to the Jedi, gave Rowan, Shrine, over to the Jedi because he thought that was what's best for the boy. And she went, I never wanted you to be a Jedi. I didn't want to be a Jedi either. Okay, that's fine. And then he's kind of like, I don't really want to call you mom because I don't really never knew you. I am a Jedi. Yeah, the Jedi Order's down, but what am I now? It's just, they did this with Dash Janir, if you're reading this in chronological order, and I think these may have come out obviously, if they came out, they're mentioning each other, they probably came out around the same time too. And Dash Janir's fall from the Jedi Order is way more interesting than Shrine's. You really don't care as much about Shrine, even though James Luceno really does give the old Boy Scout effort there to make you care about that character. That's where this story falls flat. There's not as much Vader as you would think in a book called Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader. You think it'd be all on Darth Vader, and it probably should have, because the times he spends on Darth Vader, contemplating how limited he is in the Force now because of his body, he's not used to his body, he kind of lumbers around, and he's mad about a few things. I think there's one chapter he's like, is this breathing? And then he talks about how his breathing, he has this mechanism in front of his chest, which is why he had to change his lightsaber stance in his maneuvering, because he has to guard that ventilator. If anyone were to hit it, that could really take him out permanently. So I like that, but like his legs were a little cumbersome at times. Sometimes they didn't work as much. He stumbled a little bit. And he's still getting used to the new suit. Now, I remember reading that the first time through and thinking, that was awesome. And it's still awesome. Anytime it's just Darth Vader talking to himself, like he has vague, it's almost like the memories of Anakin Skywalker are all gone. They're like hazy memories. When he goes to the temple, he remembers killing all the younglings. Oh, that he remembers perfectly because he was Darth Vader then. But all the memories before then, he knows about them, but they just kind of run together and they're kind of just out there. He's separating himself from Anakin. Really well done, really well written, and that's why the book's obviously worth reading again. But if it would have focused more on Vader, I think it would have been great. Now, Shrine gets away from Vader. He ends up on Alderaan. He's going to help the people who smuggled him off the planet say, well, help us with this job since we helped you. And he does. They're trying to sneak a senator who's been staying on Alderaan back to his home planet. See, he's against Emperor Palpatine, and the Emperor wants, or him brought back to Coruscant for questioning. So he tells Vader, go get him. He's been hiding out on Alderaan, go get him. Well, of course, Shrine's trying to stop him. It's great because Bail meets Vader for the first time, and then after a while realizes that's Anakin Skywalker. Now, I don't mind that some people figure it out, right? The people who are close to the Jedi, or, close to, as he was with Obi-Wan, and of course Obi-Wan was Anakin, he figures it out. Well, then he doesn't want Bria, his wife, to bring Leia in. And Bria's coming anyway, because Darth Vader goes, I would like to meet the Queen. He's like, oh no, because if he sees Leia, he may feel that connection, and that he would fail in his mission. So that has a lot of tense scenes there. R2-D2 and C-3PO are in it for a little while on Alderaan, and it's funny, and I totally forgot that they were in this too. And then of course they go later on to Kashyyyk, where they have Chewbacca there for a bit. That's when the enslavement of the Wookiees starts happening. And this time it seems like Vader's kind of getting over. Dark times he had some mixed feelings. But as Luceno's saying, Anakin is fading away. It's like a distant memory now. Now there's just Vader. So he doesn't care about his past, being a slave and whatnot. It doesn't matter anymore. That's not him anymore. And that's just really good stuff. It's really good stuff. Oh, how Vader has to eat through like a straw and stuff, and how he's very weak in his meditation chamber. I just love everything about that. And that's the good stuff about this. Also at the end, when he fights Shrine, finally they have a showdown, and he just admits to Shrine who he is. He goes, are you one of the 20 lost Jedi? He went, no, I'm the 21st, Anakin Skywalker. And I thought that was great. That was great. And Shrine's just like shocked that it's Anakin Skywalker, shocked that the Emperor was a Sith. That's what I'm talking about. Not every Jedi had to know. Not everyone had to know the main plan, the master plan, so that we see at least one Jedi who's shocked by all this is great. Now, of course, Shrine will not survive this. And everyone knows that. You know that in the book. Darth Vader is just more powerful than Shrine is, and he's killed several Jedi already. But this one has something that I thought was in the Last Jedi series by Jude Watson. It still could be. And I'm waiting to see if I got my first contradiction here. And I know by the time people see this, they'll put it all in the comments, but that's okay, because I'll know by then too. But at the very last chapter, it's Obi-Wan on Tatooine looking at a holofeed and seeing Vader alive. And not realizing, he thought he just left Vader for dead. He couldn't do the killing stroke, but he thought there's no way Anakin could survive that. He thought he'd killed his best friend. And now when he sees Darth Vader, he knows immediately that's Anakin, and he's horrified at what Anakin's become and what's going on. And it's really good. It's a really good ending. And I seem to remember that was in the Last of the Jedi book with Jude Watson, but again, I could be mistaken there. But that's also the first time. Remember in the book Kenobi, he's trying desperately to talk to Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon's not talking to him. Well, during this crisis moment, he hears Qui-Gon's voice for the first time and has a little force chat with him. And it's very small, but it's perfect. We don't need to see the adventures of Ghost, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Obi-Wan, but it's nice to see, especially if you're reading this in chronological order. And it's funny because John Jackson Miller never had Qui-Gon speak to him. Why? Because he knew, James Luceno had Qui-Gon speak to him for the first time in his book. So in my book, that can't happen. Continuity, it matters. It mattered to authors back then. And so that was good to see. And if you're reading in chronological order, it really pays off. This is one thing that pays off well. I've been talking about how it really doesn't behoove you to read in chronological order, but this one does, because the whole time in Kenobi, you're like, well, why won't Qui-Gon talk to him? Well, Qui-Gon now finally speaks to him. And timeline-wise, you could say a few weeks past Kenobi, or a month or so past Kenobi. Doesn't seem like it's been that long, because he's still talking about fixing that evaporator to get settled into his hut and everything. But overall, like I said, good solid hit for James Luceno. Definitely not one of his best. Definitely not the worst, but pretty good. Especially the stuff with Vader. That stuff, excellent. All right, folks. That's all for now. See you next time.